I like to officially call the Ifma House of Delegates annual meeting for fiscal year 2021 to order. All right, let's see here. Welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Peter Ankerstjerne. I'm the chair of Ifma's Global Board of Directors, and in my day job, I'm the Chief Strategy Officer with the Planon Group based out of Copenhagen, Denmark. I'm delighted to be joining all of you here in person today at World Workplace 2021 here in Kissimmee. It wasn't really, I guess it was written in the stars that I was supposed to be here, but I didn't think so until last Friday, so I was really, really happy to get the permission from the US Embassy in Copenhagen to finally come here. Welcome to all of you to this, and also, of course, welcome to all of those who are joining us virtually from around the world. I would like to take a moment before the presentations begin to recognize our colleagues on the Ifma Global Board of Directors who are with us here today. If you, all the BOD members, if you could stand up to be recognized. So these are our members of the Global Board. There are also quite a few of them that are joining us online that were not as fortunate as me to get permission to travel. So they are sitting in Belgium, in Hong Kong, in the US, in Chicago, and in India. I think that's probably about it. And Canada, not to forget. Yeah. All right. I would also like to ask the Ifma staff who are with us here at World Workplace to stand up and be recognized as well. Thank you all for being here with us today, and thanks for all the hard work that you do behind the scenes to make the conference and the House of Delegates event outstanding. You do a fantastic job for us here at World Workplace, but of course for the FM community in general. All right, so I'm pleased to be presenting to you today the Ifma State of the Association and the financial report for fiscal year 21, alongside my colleagues on the Ifma's Executive Committee. And that is first Vice Chair Laurie Gilmer, second Vice Chair Dean Stanbury, and then our Ifma President and CEO, Don Gilpin. We are joined this morning by Case Runolfsson from the Ifma Foundation, who is the first Vice Chair, and then Dean Hitchcock from the Certificate Commission, and Chris Hodges from the Certification Commission, who will be sharing reports for their respective areas of the association business. With a front seat view of the association and its work throughout 2021, I'm exceptionally proud of what the organization has accomplished. As the global pandemic continually impacted people, businesses, and economies worldwide, Ifma continued leading and supporting the FM community by providing substantial and applicable knowledge, information, and support throughout our members, but also to people, facility managers, and workplace professionals who are not yet members of Ifma. This information was helped others to navigate the new ways of working in areas of public interest, including health, safety matters, hygiene and social distancing, return to work and occupancy forecasting, and then of course safeguarding the facilities that we manage. The silver lining to this ongoing COVID cloud is that the important role and impact facility managers have in our communities is now better understood than ever before, and FM is being recognized by business and political leaders around the world as an essential profession. You will often hear Ifma referencing that one size does not fit all. This is something that is true across all aspects of Ifma programming. We recognize that every facility, every community of practice, every member has different and distinct realities that they are working in. And Ifma continues to share the depth of knowledge necessary for all facility managers to be the best versions of their professional selves, and to provide the necessary information enabling them to wisely manage the spaces that have been entrusted to them. Paramount to this knowledge-sharing effort is Ifma's professional development offerings, and we are looking forward to updating you all during today's presentation on the recent transitions, including the conclusions of the multi-year RICS agreement and the tremendous updates and progress that has been made in this area of business. To move forward with the meeting, I would like to ask Linda Pate to go through the minutes of the 2020 House of Delegates annual meeting now that we have the quorum. Linda.
Hi, everybody. Mary's taking the poll anywhere. She's keeping track of that for us today. So I have an easy job. And is there a motion to waive the reading of and approve the 2020 House of Delegates annual meeting minutes? And I'm going to let Mary tell me when we're good to go. Good. Is there a second? And we have one in the crowd, yep. So we're good. Any abstentions? All in favor? Excellent. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Linda. That was the formality of the first part here of the meeting to get the minutes from last year approved. Our second vice chair, Dean Stanbury, will now present the financial report for fiscal year 2021. Through prudent fiscal management and continued refinement of business practices, Ifma has emerged from a year of tremendous global economic and health challenges, standing on a solid financial ground. I would like also just to give kudos to our financial team. I think it's appropriate just to recognize the team, the Ifma staff working on the finances. I think it's fair to say that we have had some financial challenges, but because we have so much transparency and we can trust in our financial reporting, we've been able to sort of steer clear all of this, which Dean will go through in a minute. Those of you who are attending virtually, please make sure that you stay online following these reports when First Vice Chair Laura Gilmer and Ifma President and CEO Don Gilpin will present, and I will present in greater detail the Ifma State of the Association. But now, Dean, over to you to share the financials.
Thank you, Peter. Okay, sounds like my mic is on. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and move to the first one. For those of you who don't know, I'm Dean Stanbury, second vice chair, and part of the role of the second vice chair is to chair the Finance Committee and the Audit Committee. So it's my privilege to read out the FY21 financial report. Let's see if I can get this to move. There we go. All right, I know this is an eye test, but I will be telling you some of the numbers, and also you'll be able to find this online. So the detailed statement of activities and information shown on this first slide is taken directly from the fiscal year 21 final audited report conducted by the external CPA firm of Briggs & Veselka. I'm pleased to let you know that the audit report was reviewed and approved by Ifma's Board of Directors on October 25th. The statement and the information that we'll be sharing today is also available for review in Ifma's annual report, which can be found online at ifma.org. I'll also point out that all the numbers here shown are listed in US dollars. Moving on to the next slide, total consolidated revenues for fiscal year 2021 was $11.5 million, which is a decrease of $3.6 million from fiscal year 2020. Total consolidated expenses were $11.3 million, which was down $3 million from fiscal year 2020. So the total net income from operations before non-operating items came in at $222,000, which is down $591,000 prior year, but still a positive number. The overall consolidated net income is $1.47 million for the current year. It's a $367 increase from the prior year. So $1.47 million Net income was mainly attributable to other income totaling $956,000, which really comes from gains in the stock market. Primary contributors to the $1.47 million is our revenue generated by our primary business channels, which the big three is professional development, membership, and events. The chart here outlines the percentages of revenue by department, which are combined to make up the major revenue of the year, and the big three equals $10.7 million out of the 11.4. Next chart. So net income, again, the exact number is $1,471,475. This is continuing a positive trend for the third consecutive year. Can I get a round of applause for that? This is good news, people. One other thing we'll talk about is the Paycheck Protection Program. Maybe you're familiar with this. It was established as part of the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, or CARES Act, which provided loans to qualifying businesses and certain tax-exempt entities. Ifma received funds in FY21 in the amount of $1 million acquired to provide salary coverage during the economic hardships caused by the pandemic and enable retention of staff and allow us to continuity of business. We are extremely pleased to report that as of last Thursday, we received official notification that that PPP loan debt has been forgiven in its entirety. And we will be actually recording that elimination of debt on the October 2021 books. Next, wrong slide here. Following our financial committee and board of directors' goal to pay down the line of credit in alignment with our policy and procedures adopted in 2019 and due to Ifma's financial, health, and proper management of expenses, I'm delighted to announce that Ifma was able to pay off its loan in entirety in 2021. So the line of credit, wait for it. Line of credit loan amount, which stood at $1.1 million at the beginning of fiscal year 2021, was reduced to zero by July 1st. Between successfully paying down the line of credit and the full forgiveness of the PPP loan, Ifma is officially debt-free. And the last bit of good news, we do have investments, and our investment folks have done quite well for us. Due to the favorable bull market, our Ifma investments have continued to grow, and we're delighted to report a significant bump of about 30% for the fiscal year. So with our total investment portfolio balance is now at $5.5 million. Now let's have a big round of applause. This is in no small part the result of the efforts of staff and the finance team at Ifma. They have done a lot to make sure we controlled expenses, to continue the operation, and we were able to retain our staff, pay their salaries, and pay off our debts, which is pretty incredible for the COVID pandemic timeframe. So we are starting off fiscal year 21-22 in a really good space. And I'm going to turn it back over to Peter. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Thanks for sharing this excellent results with the House of Delegates today. It is incredibly important for an association to be debt-free. And it may sound a little bit counterintuitive, as debt has never been cheaper than it is right now. But the problem with debt is that you have no freedom to act. And I remember distinctly at the House of Delegates meeting in 2018 where we showed a deficit of $1.8 million. It was a completely different conversation we were having. And there was a lot of people that were questioning whether we were solvent or would be solvent at the end of the year, and how we were managing that. So I'm incredibly proud of the team, and especially the leadership team of Ifma, for making sure that we can actually sustain the association going forward in a much better state that we took it over. It provides a lot of freedom to operate, both for the leadership team, but also for the future leaders that's going to be part of the board going forward. All right, so with this, I'd like to turn it over to Case Runolfsson, Ifma Foundation first Vice Chair, to present this year's report from the Ifma Foundation. Case?
Great to be part of the good news train. How great is that? I want to say hello to all of you. So great to see you in 3D. And also I wanted to say thank you to those folks that are making the commitment to be here virtually as well. I want to walk you through our last year. It's been really exciting. But I'm trying to avoid the whole drink from the fire hose thing. As a longtime member, I've sat in that seat. I know you've got a lot going on. This is not information. I want you to take this as fuel. We think that the more you know about what we're doing, you'll see that it's not us doing it. I am going to follow the lead of actually trying to make this as participatory as possible. Here's our structure. Many of these aspects of it are familiar to you. The accredited degree program, our work on how we're doing this pipeline. We're going to have examples of all of that. We're also going to talk a little bit about our scholarships as we go through this. I know I have 7 minutes, so I'm going to stick to that. I will plug, we have a booth. Show of hands, anybody know what the number is? Told you this is going to be interactive. That's right, 1511. 1511. Okay. So how we connect in through these various programs is through you. And we're going to be telling the story. There's going to be some examples here on how we've actually done that this year. So here we have Georgia in the house. Show hands. Okay, there we go. Look around. Look around. It's important. I'm going to do this to you throughout this because these folks are the success story. And I want you to find them in the crowd. And if you're that person, I want you to talk about it. We have several this year. So we have 3 in Singapore. Thank you virtually. We are Wichita State. East Coast. This is an area of growth, and so Chesapeake and the DC chapter both working together on that one. Texas. There you go. Show of hands. Texas in the house. There we go. Now, you saw that cell for the talent development pipeline. This is a critical evolutionary step for the foundation. This is a private partnership, a private-public partnership in large part, and New York, please, I know you're there. Look at New York. Fantastic story. And there's more information on our website, and I'd like you to check it. But this is an example of a model that's not only being repeated there, this model is being emulated elsewhere in the country. And then the next step is how do we effectively do that internationally? And we'll talk about that a little bit in the area of scholarships. Denver also. Apprenticeships. How many chapters out there want to be involved in apprenticeships? Just show of hands. Right. Yeah, nobody's not raising their hands because we get it, right? Silverbacks like me, we're leaving the profession and we need that talent. This is one way to do it. It's also helping the disadvantaged, it's helping veterans, and this is a huge focus for us. Texas again. Denver again. Great work. I wanted you to see this. How many people are familiar with the UN SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals? There's trick question. How many of them are there? Just shout it out. 17. 6 of 17 related to our profession. This is a huge opportunity for us. And we want to meet you where you are on that. But you're going to see more and more work in these next couple of years. I want to say thank you to our GWI advisors. And if you don't see your company name up there, Bob Dills, please stand up. See that guy. Also, see Irene Thomas Johnson. Irene, right there. She's done a fantastic job. Okay, so if you see you're a scholarship sponsor and you're in this room, would you please stand up? Please? Pretty please? Okay. So if you're not standing, look around. Please be standing next year. Thank you. All right. Do I have my student scholars in the back? Stand up, please. This is the product. These are 2020 and 2021 winners. And we're so happy that they would make it. Now, we know that many of our thank you guys. I know that many of our international students were unable to make it this year. We are going to afford the same flexibility that we did last year, and they will be joining us in Tennessee next year. So, very excited about that. If you want to get on the scholarship train, please see me. What booth am I in again? There we go. Good job. All right, and so here's the lifeblood. Your participation. That donation's not just about money. It's about the talent that you bring. We've had some great success in our committees. We've made a shift in the last year in the foundation where we actually have folks other than trustees participating in these committees. And I would just give a quick shout out to the scholarship committee. I know Scott Lang's here. Anybody else on any committees for the foundation? Just quick hands. We want more of you. We want more of you. The Eric Teichholz Award, this is an example of a scholarship that's funded, again, through a partnership. And we're seeking more of that through corporations and other institutions. So if you have any interest in that, where could you see me? 1511, okay. This was created through the work of one of our trustees and the work of Sodexo. This is a product that you can have whenever you want it. Just come to our website. Plug for tonight, 7 o'clock. I promise not to drown. If you haven't signed up for this, please do. See Christina. Christina, can you raise your hand? There she is in the back. Ignite FM later this week. Please join us there. You'll see these fantastic scholars at work. The last component that I want you to think about and has historically been a component of the foundation and is really coming into its own is the component of research. Through the help of Nancy Sandquist, Pat Turnbull, and others, we're producing documents. How many people use the pandemic manual? I know I did. That is the work of the foundation. So thank you so much for your time. If there's anything else we can be of any assistance to you, please, my fellow trustees, could you just stand up real quick? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Case. You certainly feel the excitement and passion about the foundation. And thanks for keeping it interactive. So we all know that it's 1511 that we need to go to, right? Yeah. Anyway, I would now like to invite Dean Hitchcock from the Certificate Commission and Chris Hodges from the Certification Commission to present their respective reports. Thanks, Chris and Dean. Your floor is yours.
Thank you, Peter. The first thing I need to say is these are really tough acts to follow. But we do have some good news regarding credentials, and Dean and I will do our best to make sure we keep up the momentum as we go forward. So thank you. I'm Chris Hodges, and I chair the Certificate Commission, and Dean is joining me today. Dean chairs the Certification Commission. So we're going to report today how our credentials are doing, and along with that, the first thing we start with is it's kind of the rules we need to follow. You've probably seen this for a few years, but we have to sort of treat our credentials a little bit differently. The certificates are about gaining knowledge in a profession. They're basically training. The first things you do when you join a profession, you don't need to have any experience to do it, but you need to learn. You need to learn about different competencies that are out there in the profession, and that's what we've been working on in Ifma for many, many years, and that's what the certificate program really governs. And we have also the certification, which is really the culmination. That's really when we take all that knowledge, we start applying it, we gain experience, and then we gain competency as individuals in the facility management profession. And we have two standards that we have to adhere to along with those certificates and along with those certifications. And one of the things that was really significant that occurred over the last year is we received accreditation for the CFM, or the certification program, but we didn't get to see it last year because we weren't all together in 3D. So bottom line is thank you for that. All the hard work Ifma's put into this was probably a decade plus worth of work to get to the point where we could actually have that accreditation. So congratulations on the CFM, the accreditation from ISO for that. So that's worthy of a round of applause. And now we're happy to be able to be together and celebrate that in person. So thank you for that. As far as the Certificate Commission is concerned, again, we guide and oversee the activities for the FMP and the SFP, which are our certificate programs. And it takes place, we look at a lot, we look to the profession to tell us what we need. That's the basis of these credentials programs. Going out to professionals that are practicing and saying, what is the knowledge, what's the knowledge base that we need to develop? We do practice analysis, and then we develop that body of knowledge that serves those 11 core competencies that you see that serve the basis for all of our credentials. Throughout the year, from a certificate standpoint, there's a lot of work been going on, and we as a commission don't take a lot of credit for the work. That's really Ifma. That's professional development and education that does all the heavy lifting with all this throughout the year. Things like the learning management system, updating that so it covers all 11 core competencies so that we can push out that education and content to anywhere, and the credential management systems. Again, the revitalization and rebuilding of CAMP, so that you could enter your credentials and keep that throughout your career so that you can track where you are and much more easily recertify at the CFM level. By the way, if you're due this year, you only have about another 2 months to be able to do that. So that's just a reminder. We were talking about that earlier, including Dean and myself. So make sure you go into CAMP and use that tool for helping keep up those credentials. A lot of things that go on out throughout the course of the year. You can see a few of them here. I'm just going to highlight a couple, including, developing the FMP into simplified Chinese. But one of the real things that occurred over the last year and a half was when the pandemic hit, that really puts a crimp in anything that's in person, right? So IFMA's to be congratulated for making a very fast change over to virtual learning, and that really allowed the certificate programs not to skip a beat. Okay, so we were able to keep up with that. So that was really one of the real key accomplishments amongst all these other things that you see here in front of you. So those are the types of things that we do, and this is the result of all of that. If you look at the growth of our certificate programs, this is pretty significant. If you look at that 5-6 year growth of the FMP and the SFP, those are phenomenal numbers. We have over 13,000 FMPs right now. And I'm going to follow Case's lead out there. How many FMPs do we have in here? Okay, congratulations and thank you. How about SFPs? Awesome. Because those numbers are a little bit smaller, and it hasn't been around quite as much, and we're going through an upgrade of the SFP program. But just think about what's happening in the world these days and the importance of sustainability, especially around facility management. That number is going to get really big. So those have been continued to grow despite all the limitations that we've had over the past 18 to 24 months. So this is growth by region. You can see some significant growth in some regions outside of the U.S., including Africa and the Middle East and in Asia. Significant numbers there on the FMP. We see overall in North America, continued steady growth in North America, which is sort of the bigger portion of what we have, but we don't want to be satisfied with that. We need to get it outside, all around the world, and more folks engaged in both the certificates and ultimately the CFM, the certification. SFP growth by region, again, significant growth in the Middle East and Asia, and also what we see continued steady growth throughout the U.S. So this is an incredible accomplishment if you think about what we've had to go through over the last 2 years, year and a half, 2 years. Think about all that we thought that this would sort of stop and slow down, but it hasn't. And this has been a great sort of feeder for the next topic, which is going to be Dean's Group and the certification. Of course, I have lots of folks on the commission to thank for all this work. So all those folks you see up here on this slide, thank you very much. But also, we could not do this without the association and the professional development group and all the folks in Ifma that make this happen every day. We end up just being the figurehead standing up here and able to give you the good news. They do all the hard work. So thank you very much for that, and we really appreciate that. Thank you.
Let's see here. So much like Chris, I have a slide with all my responsibilities. And not surprisingly, the CFM Certification Commission oversees the credential. And one of the major things we do on a cyclical basis is perform the global job task analysis. Some of you are probably familiar with that, but that's a survey that goes out to the entire FM community. And it's how we identify what tasks we as FMs do and are engaged in. And then using that information, we develop standards, which we can measure FMs against. And then the next step in that, as this is sort of a process here, the next step is we develop an exam that ultimately is how we find and identify our CFMs. So this is obviously a very big picture responsibilities. I want to switch to talk a little bit about what we did this past year. One of the things we engaged in was a pilot program for remote proctoring of the CFM. So traditionally, everyone has had to go to a testing center to take the exam, and we saw that there was a need maybe for some of the people in more remote locations to do remote proctoring. So we tried that out for a 6-month period. It worked out fairly well. There were some challenges we noted, but in the end, we've approved that to continue going forward. If you're wondering what the challenge is, it's connectivity. There was a little bit of issue for those people who were doing it, staying connected to the exam, and so there's some technology issues that we need to work out. Something else we worked with was the Dallas College and the American Hospital Association on a what they call an IRAP. It's an industry recognized apprenticeship program, and they came to us actually basically with interest in using the CFM as sort of a culmination of that program. So we spent a number of months late last year, early this year, discussing with them some of the really the things related to the job task analysis and identifying standards. And then they've taken all that information, and we're hoping, they're still working on this, but we're hoping that the end result of that will be that they use the CFM for their program. And this will be a great success if it works out, because there are other people, other groups behind them that would likely do the same thing. Chris mentioned that we got accredited last year, which is great. So here it is a year later. We didn't even get to celebrate, and we're already happy to report that we've gotten through our first year successfully, and we're still accredited, so good. And last on the slide, this outreach program. So recently, my vice chair and I drafted a letter that we sent out to all the FMPs out there, encouraging them to go and take the next step and get their CFM. So this was really the first step in something that we plan on keeping up regular engagement with the association, with the FMPs, and with the community at large, really, encouraging members and non-members alike to pursue their CFM. So you'll see more on this. We did have one of our original founding commissioners, Jim Hilf. He termed out this year, so we recruited a new member, and that's Jennifer Canine, and she starts her first term as a commissioner this month. So glad to have her on board. Some statistics, can't get through a briefing without these. So currently we have 2,773 CFMs. That's awesome. I couldn't have timed that any better.
Perfect time.
Yeah, all right. Great. So there have been a total of 8,158 CFMs since the initiation of the credential some years ago, quite a few years ago. And the CFMs represented in 52 countries, so that's great. This slide, on the right hand of the slide, the application trends, you see the big dip in 2020. It seems that that's due to COVID. The testing centers were closed. People weren't sure they wanted to pursue the credential. So the good news is that the applications are way up in 2021. So hopefully those will result in CFMs. So this slide is just a year-on-year trend for the CFM. Overall, it's up. Again, you can see the downtick in 2020, and that the number is much better in 2021. It's not as good as we saw in 2019. Hard to say if that's still a lagging effect of COVID or not. It's fairly close, so statistically, I don't think you can draw a whole lot from that. Much like the SFP and the FMP, we see a lot of growth in Asia, in the Middle East and Africa, not so much in Europe, in the Caribbean. And then this is a little concerning, this slide. We see, this downtrend in North America. I don't, it's easy to blame everything on COVID. I don't want to say that. I can't give you a really solid answer as to why this slide looks this way. I would just point back to the applications being up, and that we really hope, as we monitor this over the next couple of years, we hope to see that those numbers go up. So this slide shows, it needs a little explanation. For the FMP growth, those are numbers of FMPs. You see that trend just really heading up over the years. The CFM numbers, those are applications, and we do that because we don't know how many of those people who apply are actually going to become CFMs, and the numbers are much smaller, as you would expect, because not everyone's going to pass the exam on their first try. But both the positive thing here is both of these charts are on an upward trajectory. So this slide shows a total of active credential holders. So that's the SFP, FMP, CFM, all of them. And then you can see the number of countries that we're represented in, again, between all the credentials. We're steadily climbing up, and over 100 for the last couple of years. So that's great. These are the commissioners. You can see a fairly good representation. We try hard in the last couple of years to we found that we were very North American centric, so Canada and the US, and we've tried hard to reach out and grab people from overseas. So. And final slide, tomorrow, 5:30, there's a credentials reception. So that's, if anybody has a credential, we'd love to see you there. This year will be a little different than previous years. It's maybe more informal. There's no program. It's just a mix and mingle, and a good opportunity to meet your fellow credential holders. And then that's followed on Wednesday by the credentials public meeting. So hope to see anybody who's interested at either of those events. I think that's the end. So, thanks.
Thank you, Dean and Chris, for this great insights on our programs. And I think I introduced you wrong. So Dean, just to make it clear, Dean is chairman of the Certification Commission, and Chris is for the Certificate Commission. So I do apologize, but as a foreigner, it's easy to mix those two up, I think. All right. So the State of the Association, 2020 ushered the most redefining period for facility management and our profession since the 80s when Ifma got established. At an unprecedented global level, COVID-19 pandemic rewrote the playbook on how and where work gets done. It brought people into the focus of an organization as an organization's most valuable assets and necessitated an approach to the workplace, a new approach to the workplace experience, one that prioritizes health, well-being, flexibility, adaptability, corporate culture, and social purpose. When I was inducted as board chair in July 2020, I knew it would be a difficult year for the association. My predecessor, John Carrillo, had done a great job moving Ifma into survival mode as the pandemic hit. And I knew that we had to stay in that survival mode for quite a period of time, reevaluating our budgets, adjusting our cost base, commencing an voluntary reduction in staff pay, postponing strategic initiative, and suspending major investments. Yet, amid the concern for Ifma's financial resilience, something unexpected happened. As we were finding ways to keep Ifma afloat and solvent, our entire community rallied to keep Ifma relevant. While 2019 was the most profitable year in Ifma history, 2020 was probably one of the most prolific years. From webinars, reports, manuals, and frameworks to virtual events, new professional development courses, and career tools, Ifma, our members and our partners continuously rolled out new topical, critical resources to keep the industry informed and equipped as we navigated the complexities and uncertainties of shutdowns, reopenings, shutdowns again, second phase reopenings, recovering phases, and lately also now, finally, the return to office and the reimagination of the new post-pandemic workplace. With the inability to gather safely in large numbers, our events teams took the hardest hit, especially with the transition of World Workplace 2020, which should have been in Chicago, Facility Fusion, World Workplace Europe. They turned into fully virtual events. However, Ifma's professional development saw an increase, as you've already seen with the reports from Dean and Chris. We saw an increase in revenue as FM professionals took advantage of online courses and credentialing programs. By maintaining strong financial discipline, Ifma was able to securely make its way through the pandemic while providing our members and the public with much needed information and critical thinking on matters around health and safety. Despite the pandemic's ongoing reverberations, there is cause for optimism, both in our association and in our profession. This past few years have seen progressive action in our industry. More recently, the facility manager's role in designing and aligning the workplace to a new reality of work has taken the spotlight. Ifma's position as the voice of authority on FM, as well as the voice of influence among all professionals involved in facility and workplace decision, drove the creation of a new vision and mission statement for Ifma, announced in April 2021 during Facility Fusion. Our association's vision is now to lead the future of the built environment to make the world a better place. The first and most influential one of our 4 values that drives us is a belief in the benefit of global diversity, inclusion, and social equity. While no organization is immune to the challenges of discrimination, Ifma is committed to fostering a culture that values and respects the worth of every individual. Ifma was built on a foundation of unity, a shared purpose to create something meaningful that hasn't changed. We are a community of colleagues and friends sustained by respectful and open sharing of knowledge and experiences. We are each other's champions, and that too will only grow stronger in the years to come. When we launched this vision, we were a little bit worried that we will get some negative feedback. But I have to say that the feedback I have received, mostly online, of course, has been extremely positive, and we have seen a lot of support in that sort of change of purpose and direction for the association, building on the foundation, of course, that we were built on. Ifma's expert assessment was a report and webinar series based on the result of a survey conducted in July and August 2020, and was really the brainchild of Jeffrey Saunders, who has joined our Ifma research and benchmarking team. Jeff, could you just wave and stand up? Yeah, thanks. We invited 650 so-called subject matter experts within the area of sustainability, tech and digitalization and workplace experience, out of which 248 participated. The purpose was to understand the future of work post-COVID-19. The report and webinars examined the long-term impact of the pandemic on the workplace as the digital transformation was accelerated by the onset of the pandemic through different lenses of key stakeholders within the built environment. Through 8 webinars, experts from around the world provided their insights into how new ways of working will develop based on the choices that were made and how to adapt to the new normal post-COVID-19. There is the last and final capstone panel debate will be held on Wednesday here from 2 to 3 o'clock. Do you know which room it is, Jeff? The Sunroom, yeah. So if any of you is interested and haven't followed those sessions, you still have a chance to do so on Wednesday. All right. Our industry is now at an inflection point. We can either settle into the adaptive process where we've enacted on and return to business as usual, or we can seize the moment to redefine the profession, build competitive advantage, and become a new and improved version of Ifma going forward. Facility management has an impact that is much bigger than any department, facility, or company. And we have the opportunity to ensure that our facilities do not only perform well by operational standards, but also surpass human experience standards as well. And especially, as it was also mentioned by Chris, we have an opportunity to be stewards of the environment and put sustainability high on the agenda. Together with the technology, we can really drive this industry in not only becoming facility-oriented, but really oriented about cities and especially smart cities as we go forward. FM has shown its quality and Ifma has proven its resilience. We have emerged from a time of crisis stronger, more focused, and more adaptive. I believe these virtues will help us further grow the association, providing even more leadership and resources as our profession enters into a new and very exciting next stage. Now, to share some more details on our professional development, I would like to call Laurie Gilmer to the podium. Here you go, Laurie.
Thanks very much, Peter. Well, welcome. Good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're tuning in from. Glad to be here today, and it's really exciting to see people in person, or as Case puts it, in 3D. I'm going to talk a little bit about a few things, professional development starting with. To be fully prepared for the April 2021 conclusion of our partnership with RICS, Ifma's Professional Development Department developed and launched an all-new learning management system, our LMS. We often kind of shorthand it to that. That was in November 2020, and it provided not only an independent platform for us, but also greatly improved our experience for our end users. Along with the new LMS that's located at fm.training.org, we also had 6 newly designed PD web pages that were rolled out to provide easier navigation for people and a better understanding of the available training options. It was geared to provide a better user experience and clear support. And the new web pages alone received close to 700,000 page, and I'll just repeat that number, 700,000 page views in the remaining balance of the fiscal year. Well, one of the really great things we did see is we saw better engagement. We talked earlier, Dean mentioned that that applications for CFMs are up, and part of that, I believe, is attributed to it's easier to find it on our webpage right now. So that was just some really good work, well done. Ifma also transitioned to a new application management program. Chris mentioned that. It provides efficient and easier use for the end user and a more cohesive account management experience for those who are using it. To allow users to tailor their competency training to fill the unique knowledge gaps in FY21, Ifma published the first 7 new core competency courses. It replaces the bulkier FMLS. FMLS was 11 competencies and all of the education that goes with it. We basically broke it down, so we now have 7. The remaining 4 core competency courses were also released earlier this fall. So now all 11 competencies you can get that knowledge through our FMLS. And we're delighted to confirm, which has been said now a couple of times, that Ifma now offers the FMP credential and the essentials of FM, or essentials of facility management, in simplified Chinese at fm.training. These translations are a fantastic expansion into language options for native Chinese-speaking professionals who are wishing to develop their facility knowledge and earn career-boosting credentials. On to membership. Ifma is committed to helping members thrive. Through deep conversations and surveys and a dedicated membership task force, we gathered incredible feedback to help us understand the types of resources that members need most. So to expand our member benefits in 2021, Ifma has incorporated the top 3 most requested benefits into our basic dues as free added benefits. So as you're talking to people about joining Ifma and values of Ifma, these are some good things to keep in mind. There is, number 1 benefit is a free Ifma Essentials of Facility Management module introduction to FM. Number 2 is a new on-demand educational video from Ifma every quarter, ongoing benefit. And then number 3 is access to select research executive summaries from RBI. So very excited to see that as that added benefit. Due to health and safety concerns surrounding the coronavirus, Ifma quickly and successfully pivoted from in-person events to virtual conferences and expos. Despite the circumstances with the pandemic and our inability to host our in-person events, Ifma remained committed to providing workplace professionals with a platform to continue to advance their careers. We've seen that through the various reports that we've been hearing today. And we were able to discuss different topics that help connect our industry professionals with FMs across the globe. Virtual participation expanded the opportunity for FMs to join from their homes, and it increased the global audience by 10%. Pretty phenomenal news. We can give ourselves a round of applause for that, so please. And then on research and benchmarking. RBI was recently transitioned from being an affiliate organization, separate, back into Ifma, and it's now the Research Benchmarking Department. Jeff Saunders, as was mentioned earlier by Peter, has joined our organization as the new Director of Research. Jeff is about 4 rows back right here. Wave your hand again, Jeff. So please welcome Jeff into Research and Benchmarking. If you get a chance later to welcome him, please say hello. We're really excited to have him on board, and we're excited about the benefits of this transition, that it will bring expanded output, including the Research Advisory Committee. We have an international panel of multidisciplinary subject matter experts that will help shape the built environment to improve people's well-being and building sustainability. The panel consists of quite a lot of different types of people, including they're members of the academic and business-oriented researchers focused on facility management, human experience and engagement, human-machine interfaces, real estate, sustainability, and more. So lots of different touch points that we're hitting, and recognizing that integration, it's not just facility management, we integrate with so many others. So together, this panel will help us create IFMA's future research agenda. We also have a brand refresh. This was very exciting. In case anyone missed it, Ifma introduced a refreshed logo and launched a redesigned website. How many people have been on the website? Anyone? Super easy, right? And looks so, so good. Much easier to navigate. We're committed to providing exceptional user experience to everyone that we touch, including our current and future members, our partners, our sponsors, our component groups, policymakers. We do have those, students, related workplace professionals. IFMA.org was carefully developed to ensure optimal legibility and navigation, and it serves as a go-to resource for all the built environment professionals. Both the website and the logo better project the image of who we truly are in the world. We are a global leader that is innovative, collaborative, and cutting edge. And now I'd like to welcome to the stage, or to the podium, Don Gilpin. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. As I had my colleagues speak today, I had a little bit of jealousy each time they took their mask off. It was like the idea of breathing is somehow become very attractive. At any rate, thank you, Lori. Thank you so much. On behalf of the professional staff, once again, I want to welcome everyone in this room and everyone joining virtually from around the globe to World Workplace. It is so exciting to see the hugs and the high fives and the smiles through the mask. So welcome. We are absolutely thrilled to have you here. I've been asked to provide you a bit of a glimpse into the future of IFMA for this next fiscal year. We have a lot of great initiatives underway and some very exciting new opportunities that I wanted to share with you. To begin with, IFMA's purpose has always been educating, supporting, and elevating facility management professionals around the world. As we continue to innovate, I'm excited to share with you progress being made to provide the best regional options to participate in all of our IFMA regions. First, IFMA EMEA. IFMA announced the official formation of IFMA EMEA to better represent Europe, Middle East, and Africa. This is a unique legal entity that was formed this past July 1st of 2021. Understanding the expanding FM market, IFMA EMEA will be ideally positioned and able to meet the unique circumstances in each of these regions and provide optimal opportunities for growth to its EMEA-based membership and the broader FM community. Benefits to the IFMA EMEA community will include local professional development and training, research opportunities, and also equally important, the potential for grant funding from the European Union. Committed to providing exceptional support, knowledge, and thought leadership, IFMA EMEA will now be governed by a board of directors and led by our new managing director of IFMA EMEA, Lara Palman. Thank you. And now, on to our plans for Latin America. IFMA has also recently begun a dedicated effort to support FMs in Latin America with the release of the new starter website and the formation of a LATAM advisory committee, along with a starter website and participation alongside ISSA at the recent Abastur and Expo Med trade show in Mexico City, we are off to a great start. Next, I'd like to announce IFMA's new initiative called the FM Training Framework. Sharing knowledge and practices with our industries, disciplines, associations, and nations fuels our growth, especially in a reinvented workplace. No single industry can manage a new world of work alone. A multidisciplinary approach to a holistic management and support of the built world will not fade past pandemic. It will only grow stronger. To support this belief, IFMA is delighted to announce the launch of the all-new FM Training Framework program, which will provide all IFMA members direct access to the best-in-class education offered by IFMA's strategic partners at exclusive member rates. Our new partners include Avixa, representing the technology industry, ASHRAE, representing HVAC, BIFMA, representing furniture manufacturers, CEI, the Circular Economy Institute, ISSA, Cleaning, Hygiene, NEBB, Balancing and Measures, NEEC, Energy Efficiency, and finally, OSCAR, Data Management in the CRE space. Additional strategic partner training offerings will continue to be added to this FM training framework as the year goes on. So we encourage you to visit the website beginning tomorrow. We will launch the FM training framework in conjunction with the opening of World Workplace, and I encourage you to look for our press releases and additional information about that program. So IFMA is committed to lead the future of the built environment. Excuse me here. And finally, we're looking forward to the future. We as an association, a profession, and a people have faced to overcome a great many challenges presented by the pandemic and other turbulent events this past year and a half. Through distress, hardship, and yes, grief, we have managed to find hope, purpose, and possibility. With our industry's continued drive to innovate, with the need for working partners to support an adaptive and resilient workplace, and with IFMA's desire, we look forward to a bright future, committed to providing exceptional support, knowledge, and thought leadership. We will continue to lead into the future to make the world a better place. Thank you so much. Peter?
Don't forget your mask, Lori. That was the last time you're going to do that, right? So thank you for the reports and the insight and sharing of all this background information from the 2021 fiscal year. So you may, as Case was saying, seems like a very positive news train. So is it only positive news that we can share with you today? And the answer is yes. Are there any other questions? No, I would say yes, mostly positive news. There is one big challenge, and I think we're all facing that, and it was, Dean already alluded to that, and is, of course, growth. During the pandemic, even though the numbers are really positive, and we were really, really happy and very proud of what we have achieved in the past year, we have one big challenge, and I think we all have that, everybody in this room, all the chapters, all the councils, all the communities of practice, and it is growth. We have, of course, experienced slightly negative growth. I think, given the circumstances, I think we came out of the pandemic with the skin on our nose. Compared to other associations, we lost about around 800 members over the past 2 years, which is not so bad when you think about what we've been through. And when you compare ourselves, for example, to the IWFM in the UK, they lost several thousand members on a smaller base. Coronet, others have had significantly bigger challenges that we are having. However, we need to grow. It is the biggest priority for the board at the moment that we need to get back on a growth curve. If we've been looking at Ifma's growth over the past 7 to 8 years, it's a steady decline. And that is a problem that the board is taking extremely serious. We have a workforce led by Mary and Dean that is looking at how we can get to double-digit growth. We're inviting all of our chapter leaders, council leaders, and community leaders to join in that conversation, because when you grow, when the chapters grow, when our CCCs grow, we grow as an association. So it is incredibly important that we take that challenge head on and come up with means to, again, grow the association. It is vital for the survival of Ifma as we move forward and make this a cool organization that young professionals and other professionals within our industry want to join. So that is, I think, one critical challenge that we're all facing. But I think that is probably the biggest challenge we're facing. Everything else, I think, at least from a strategic perspective at Ifma, is going on nicely. We have a good view on what's happening. We have some good plans that we are putting in place to reach our strategic targets, both short-term and long-term. So with that, it's time to open the floor for questions. Anybody here in the audience and online, please, if you're online, post your questions in the chat. Here in the room, please raise your hand. Please state which chapter, your name and chapter you're from, and then we'll have a mic going. And there's a couple of mics that will go around. So let's open for questions. Yeah, there's a question here. Hey, Rod, just thanks.
Oh, you'll hold it? Thank you. Hi, I'm Rodney Stone from the San Fernando Valley chapter. So you're talking about growth. What do you think the reason is for the lack of growth? Any research or anything?
Yeah, I think Don can answer this from an association perspective. I think there's a generational thing that we need to get over. I think it's maybe not as modern and as cool to be part of an association as it maybe were 8, 10, 20 years ago when a lot of us in here joined. So, and then because you can get a lot of the same stuff, the connections via social media and online today. So being part of an association where you meet up, where you come to conferences and stuff like this, that may be something, and that's also what we hear from other associations that are struggling on getting the growth numbers. So there's something around being part of an association that is not as modern as it was a couple of years ago. But Don, you probably have some more flavor to that.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Actually, before the pandemic, Ifma was indeed growing, particularly in our young professionals category. We were growing at a very nice rate. One of the things that we are excited about, again, with working with Dean and Mary in this task force on growth initiatives, is a number of specific ideas to grow young professionals and expand globally. The board just today actually approved a brand new membership category that will allow us to really lower the barriers of entry for brand new members entering from some of our emerging regions like Latin America, like China, like India. So we're really excited about rolling that particular new membership category out. Again, the FMP happens to be the star of the show. The FMP is out in front, and the growth of FMP is also a driver for that membership growth as well. So I think that Mary would agree with me that after this pandemic and certainly moving closer into 2022, we'll see that growth trajectory come back up.
If I can just comment on that, because we as an association, we are in a multi-billion, we're actually in a $1 trillion industry, and we have 20,500 members. As an association, we should have been 40,000 or 50,000, or maybe even bigger than that. And that, I think, has to be the vision that we are aiming towards. We need to get into those types of numbers. When Ifma was at its largest, we were about 24,000 members. So you can see that there has been that steady decline over the past years, which we need to turn around and get into a growth mode. As chapters, council, communities, as the association. It's a joint effort that we need to go through here.
Dean, the person to speak to more about that?
Dean and Mary, yeah, absolutely, yeah. All right, there was another question. Yeah. Just a moment, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you. The presentations were excellent. Veen Albanian from the San Fernando Valley chapter. I'm curious. Did I say something wrong? Sorry, I got Rodney in the back here. He's a bit rowdy. Don't mind him. So I'm curious to understand, is there some form of or a formation of ideas to bring in younger professionals who are not just interested in the FM career, but really across the CRE and the RE sectors to allow them to have an opportunity to grow within the FM community? Because as we all know, all of these career paths do cross over, and I think that there's just not enough young professionals who are even aware of what the FM career path may or may not look like for them. So what are the plans to possibly grow the FM community of young professionals from these other sectors? What is the trajectory of growth look like for all of us here?
Thanks. It's a great question. I appreciate that. A couple of new options that are available for the chapters that I think you all will be excited about. One of which is something we're calling the Champions program. We're going to be rolling out a program with much greater connectivity between Ifma and the chapter leaders, either the administrators or the presidents. With that, there's going to be something called a chapter toolkit. We're already working on a web presence where all of the goods and services available to the chapter will be easily found in that website. Now, to get to your point about young professionals, there's going to be tactical and real-life examples of how to attract the young professionals to a chapter event, be it a chapter meeting, a lunch and learn, a mixer, what have you. We're going to be showing examples of how to attract those young professionals. That new membership category is yet another way that you can invite a young professional to a chapter event. And by the way, if you want to try it out for a year, $49 is a very low bar to try Ifma out for a year. Furthermore, we have a workforce development initiative through the foundation that Case and Joe Archie can speak of as well. We reach all the way back into the Votech and community college community with an awareness campaign of what is FM, not only through the schools that offer an FM program, but others that do not. We're making inroads with student chapters and group and students within these ADP programs through these universities, making them aware of what an FM does on a daily basis, the growth potential, the compensation potential, the potential to work outside of the U.S. is quite attractive to a number of people. So we're building that pipeline of fundamentally trained potential FMers, baby FMers coming up to that pipeline, and then we're going to be providing tools for the actual chapter to engage them and set that hook. Thank you for that question.
Yeah, there's a question here in the middle.
Hi, Zach Farrar, Southeastern Wisconsin. Dean, you said we received $1 million PPP loan and also at the same time paid off $1 million in debt. Did we use the PPP loan to do that?
No, we did not. We had a good year financially with other growth. The PPP loan was strictly to make sure that we could continue paying salaries. And so it does look like, they're very close, but they were not. The PPP loan was not used to pay off our debt. That was a separate initiative.
So forgive me, not a question, but a pitch. I'll just remind you of these bright, young, handsome students that are with us today and throughout the conference, and relative to growing chapters and becoming younger and hip again, embracing these folks and teaching them how to network, introducing them to your chapter, and giving them access to all those other opportunities would be inspirational to all of us, so please do that. Thank you.
I have a question online.
Yeah, we'll take a question online, yeah.
What is the Ifma vision around a local carbon future? Surely it should be our driving purpose.
What is the vision of what?
Around local carbon future.
A lower carbon future, I believe, is probably the.
Okay, so it's a typo. Lower carbon then.
Okay. We've done a lot. As you know, we have an SFP credential. We've had that for quite some time. So we've actually been anticipating the fact that climate change is causing us to be a little more concerned. 39% of the world's carbon is attributable to commercial buildings. So facility managers are well positioned to help lower that overall carbon footprint. We're going to see more work around the circular economy. And I know the word economy is in there, but a circular economy also addresses the embodied carbon in products and services. And so Europe, again, has been ahead of us in that regard. Our environmental stewardship, utilities, and sustainability community is going to be spending more time looking at that. There's actually going to be a presentation here on circular economy. And again, we've got a strategic partnership with the Circular Economy Institute, and so we'll be making available more information for people that want to learn more about not just lowering your energy consumption, but the overall embodied carbon in all of your products and services. So more to come on that, but I think Ifma is going to play a very key role in helping FMs learn how they can impact a lower carbon future.
Thanks, and keep those questions coming online. We still have 10 more minutes that we can take questions in. Matt, you have a question?
Hello, everyone. Matt Dawson, Atlanta, Georgia, past chair. Really more of a comment. One, I'm smiling, and you ought to be smiling. We're smiling with you. Well done in every respect. And I think it's so inspiring as a leader to get in front of this leadership group, young, emerging leaders that have been around for a while. And I think that it's where you go forward. And what I take away from today, along with a lot of very positive news, is we're on that point to achieve where we're going into the future, is to have a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. And it begins with the leadership. And those leaders are in this room in all dimensions, local, global, and a lot of the new constructs. So I would just invite everyone within your leadership teams at home and here to explore what an intentional growth mindset it is and how to steer it, how do you embrace it, how do you unlock that full potential as the means, and then to carry forward to unlock that growth is something that Peter indicated, and it's about the human experience. And it is a global thing across all cultures, and the way that we touch the lives of everyone in our care, whether it's in a legacy workplace or if it's in a non-traditional third-party space. The way we care for that will redefine our profession, and there's a lot of ways to get at that. One of the things I employ on my team globally is the Singularity University ExoCanvas, where you have a 10X type diagram where you're unlocking algorithms, crowdsourcing, all really cool and nifty stuff that probably people in the back of the room could help us with more than the people in the front. So I would just encourage you to think about the growth. Hey, the future's in the back of the room right now, okay? All right, so growth mindset over fixed, and then look for the methodologies that work best to keep it simple, and the human experience, I think, is where we're at. So thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, great comment. There's a question in the front row here as well.
Hi, Manuel Rodriguez with the Chicago chapter. Just wanted to follow up on the PPP question. Was the loan forgiven or paid back?
The loan is forgiven. The way that it works, you do work with a bank, and the bank works with the Small Business Administration. So you apply to have the debt forgiven through the bank. They work with the SBA, and the SBA agreed and forgave the debt. So that's it. It's a forgiven debt.
All right. Any other questions? Do we have any questions online? No? Any final comments or remarks? All right. Then, oh, sorry. Yeah, there's one. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Hi, it's John Means, also of Atlanta. During the COVID, a lot of people essentially stayed home and worked from home. Has there been any research or statistics to tell us just how much of an impact it's had on the occupancy in offices and any kind of long-term projections that are out there to help us anticipate the new normal?
Yeah, I was thinking Treslin, could you point the microphone to Jeff, because I think as Jeff is heading up our research, I think he's probably more equipped. Jeff, if you could stand up, please. So you're probably better equipped to answer that question than any of us up here. But great question.
Yeah. It's a great question, and the short answer is nobody knows for sure right now. If you look at the return to occupancy, if you want to call it that, there's a couple countries which are acting as canaries in the coal mine, if you want to put it in that way, and those are in the Nordics and in Israel. And so what we're seeing in those markets is a wait-and-see approach. You have a certain number of companies who made announcements about what they're going to do and have actually made real estate decisions based on that. The rest are kind of taking a wait and see where they're going. So we're probably going to see more action on that in a year's time. But that's some of the things that we're exploring actually in the Research Advisory Committee is what's the path forward? What are the different approaches that organizations are taking in their workplace strategies in the future? What combination of office-led or remote-led will be done? Many of these things have an impact upon the demand for real estate. But that's an emerging research area, but still right now, all of it is a kind of testing different approaches, and people are testing like mad, but there's not a good sense of this is the one pure trajectory. This is a very much up in the air decision, and we have the opportunity to define what that looks like moving forward.
Thanks for the answer, and thanks for the question. There's always some kind of expert in the room when we have these Ifma conferences. So that's good. All right. I'd like to thank our presenters for being here today and for taking the time to do the report out. I want to thank all of you participating both here in this room, coming to World Workplace, and also those of you who are online for taking the time. And thank you for your leadership in Ifma, whether you are a leader of a chapter, a community, or a council, or anything else in Ifma for that matter. There are other areas of leadership. We hope you'll take advantage of the great program that we've set up for you this week, and I want to remind you to make sure you visit the expo floor to see all the latest and greatest products and services available to the FM community. Have a wonderful and great, fun, engaging World Workplace. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.